It's Saturday, May the 23rd, 2026. You're listening to the DX Today AI Daily Brief. Today, XAI opens up Grok to a new wave of third-party services. Veeam unveils a trust layer for autonomous agents. And Microsoft and EY put $1 billion behind enterprise AI delivery. Let's get into it.
XAI spent Friday quietly remaking Grok into more of a workspace than a chatbot. The company rolled out a fresh batch of third-party connectors that let users build and deploy sites through Vercel, design assets inside Canva, assemble presentations in Gamma, and pull live market data from S&P Global, all without leaving the Grok interface. The expansion follows the recent debut of Grok 4.3, which already added native document, slide, and spreadsheet generation, plus persistent custom skills. Together, the moves signal Elon Musk's AI lab is trying to position Grok as a single workbench for everyday knowledge work, not just a smart search alternative for users on X.
From a chatbot to a trust layer.
Veeam used its annual Veeam On conference in New York City on Friday to unveil what it called the Data AI Command Platform, billing it as the first unified data and AI trust infrastructure built for the agentic era. The platform fuses Veeam's 2 decades of backup and resilience expertise with technology from its recent acquisition of Security AI, adding governance, security, compliance, privacy, and what the company calls precision resilience under a single connected layer. With more than 300 connectors across cloud, software as a service, and on-premises systems, Veeam is pitching the product as the place where data, access, identities, and AI models converge for every enterprise agent operating at machine speed.
Now to OpenAI.
OpenAI pushed a sizable update to ChatGPT Codex on Friday, sharpening the developer experience on the Mac and inside the browser. The headline feature, called App Shots, lets developers attach an active app window to a Codex thread with a single hotkey, sharing both a screenshot and the visible text so the assistant immediately understands context with no setup prompt required. OpenAI also moved Goal Mode into general availability across the Codex app, the Integrated Development Environment extension, and the command line tool, letting users define an outcome and success criteria and let Codex keep working toward it. Business customers picked up shared plugins, locked computer use on Mac, and new admin analytics.
Anthropic's busy Friday.
Anthropic, for its part, used Friday to deepen Claude's enterprise and legal footprint. The company rolled out compliance API integrations that connect Claude to a wider set of security and compliance tools, aiming at stronger governance for regulated industries. It also published more than 20 new legal model context protocol connectors and a dozen practice area plugins, intended to help law firms and in-house teams across research, contracts, discovery, matter management, and legal aid. Claude Code, the company's developer agent, picked up smarter background sessions, a renamed code review flow, and more reliable updates. Less smoothly, hundreds of users reported a Claude outage in the same window.
Now to enterprise AI.
Ernst & Young and Microsoft unveiled a 5-year alliance worth more than $1 billion aimed at pushing corporate AI projects out of pilot purgatory and into full deployment. Microsoft's so-called forward-deployed engineers will sit alongside EY industry teams using a new hypervelocity engineering model, focusing first on finance, tax, human resources, and supply chain operations across financial services, industrials, energy, consumer, government, and healthcare clients. EY itself will act as Client Zero, piloting Microsoft technologies internally before rolling them out to customers. The pact extends the firm's existing tax, assurance, consulting, and EY Parthenon partnership and is being framed as a template for moving AI from experimentation to measurable enterprise outcomes.
From services to silicon and capital.
Hark, the AI hardware startup from serial entrepreneur Brett Adcock, walked away with one of the largest Series A rounds in recent memory. The company raised more than $700 million at a $6 billion valuation, in a round led by Parkway Venture Capital. The investor list reads like a who's who of the AI supply chain, including NVIDIA, AMD Ventures, Intel Capital, Qualcomm Ventures, Brookfield, and Salesforce Ventures. Hark is building hardware optimized for next-generation AI workloads, and the chip giants writing checks suggest they see the firm as a credible partner rather than a competitor. The deal underscores how mega rounds for AI hardware are now happening at the seed and Series A stage.
Now over to Google.
Google moved this week to extend Gemini's reach beyond its own apps, announcing integrations with Adobe, Canva, and CapCut that bring those companies' image and video editing tools directly into the Gemini app. Users will be able to send images and clips from a Gemini conversation into a creative workflow without exporting files or switching apps, then bring the polished output back. The partnerships build on Google's I/O message that Gemini is meant to live everywhere users already work, not just as a standalone chatbot. They also broaden Google's defensive moat against rivals like ChatGPT and Grok, which have been adding their own document, slide, and design generators to keep paying subscribers inside one product.
More AI capital news.
Mercury, the financial operating system used by tech startups and professional services firms, closed a $200 million Series D round at a $5.2 billion valuation. The raise underscores how AI is starting to reshape business banking, with Mercury positioning itself as the place where founders manage cash, send payments, and increasingly automate finance workflows with AI agents that read invoices, reconcile transactions, and flag anomalies. Backers see Mercury benefiting twice from the current AI boom, once as the default bank for AI-native startups raising mega rounds, and again as it builds AI features into its own product. The company has grown its customer base steadily, even as some competitors pulled back.
From banks to code.
Socket, the software supply chain security firm, hit unicorn status this week with a $60 million Series C that values the company at $1 billion. Socket's pitch is straightforward. Malicious code is increasingly hiding inside the open-source dependencies that AI-assisted developers pull in by the thousands every day. Its platform analyses how those packages actually behave rather than just scanning them for known signatures, catching suspicious behavior that traditional tools miss. The round comes as AI coding assistants like Codex, Cursor, and Claude Code make it trivial to add new libraries with a single prompt, expanding the attack surface for every team shipping software. Socket says its customer base has more than doubled in the past year.
3 more before we close.
Camunda, the process automation company, used its CamundaCon conference earlier this week to introduce Process OS, an agentic operating system designed to re-engineer enterprise workflows for an AI-native world. 4 specialized agents handle the lifecycle. One discovers how a business actually runs today. Another redesigns the process for desired outcomes. A third builds and deploys, and a fourth continuously improves once live. The product entered closed beta in front of 1,200 enterprise leaders from 25 countries. Process OS runs natively on Amazon Web Services with deep integration into Amazon Bedrock and Bedrock Agent Core for foundation models, agent memory, and identity. Camunda is betting that workflow software, not chatbots, is the real on-ramp for enterprise agents.
On the workforce side.
Meta began the largest restructuring in its history this week, with roughly 8,000 employees, about 10% of total headcount, receiving layoff notices as the company pivots harder toward AI. Another 7,000 staff are being shifted into AI-focused projects rather than cut, reflecting Mark Zuckerberg's stated bet that artificial intelligence is now the center of gravity for the entire firm. The cuts span legacy product groups whose work overlaps with Meta's superintelligence ambitions. Critics note the company is laying off engineers in the same week it is reportedly using their workflows as training data for future AI systems. Wall Street largely cheered the move, viewing it as a sign of cost discipline.
And one more.
Crypto exchange Coinbase joined the AI-driven restructuring wave, announcing roughly 700 job cuts, about 14% of its workforce, as it reshapes operations around a more AI-centric workflow. Chief Executive Brian Armstrong has been vocal that internal tooling powered by large language models is letting the company ship faster with smaller teams, and the cuts touch product, design, and operations roles where AI assistants now do significant work. The move follows a string of similar announcements this month from Cloudflare, Cisco, and Upwork. Taken together, May has become a defining month for how publicly traded technology firms are formally translating AI productivity gains into headcount decisions.
That's your briefing for Saturday, May the 23rd, 2026. For DX Today, stay curious.